The moment Jungkook's name appeared alongside the words "Finally Speaks Out," the public seemed to collectively hold its breath, wondering what was truly happening behind the camera lights, behind the smiles that had always looked flawless, and behind Taehyung's suddenly explosive public appearance with Tae-ri. Was it really just a coincidence? Or was there a powerful force deliberately pushing everything into the spotlight, forcing something that could have remained private to be displayed before the entire world? That day, social media timelines seemed to pause. The names Jungkook, Taehyung, Tae-ri, and HYBE intertwined in a single breath filled with speculation. Questions surfaced relentlessly. Why did Jungkook only speak now? Why did Taehyung and Tae-ri's appearance together feel so official in the eyes of the media, despite the absence of any prior statement? And most unsettling of all, could it be that none of this happened by their own choice, but rather under pressure from a giant agency long known for its strict control over artists' images? Jungkook has always been known as someone who rarely exposes his deepest feelings to the public. He tends to express his emotions through music, through his gaze on stage, or through small moments that only the most attentive fans can catch. But this time felt different. There was something heavier, more personal, as if the words that finally came out of him were not merely a clarification, but an emotional release from a burden carried for far too long. When he finally spoke out, many sensed an unusual emotional tremor, as though Jungkook was not only speaking for himself, but also for Taehyung, for Tae-ri, and perhaps for an entire system that has long wrapped their lives in neat management layers that can also feel suffocating. Taehyung and Tae-ri's association was never just ordinary gossip. Tae-ri is widely recognized as a highly respected actress whose name soared through her role in the 2016 film The Handmaiden, a cinematic masterpiece that earned critical acclaim and left a deep mark on the international film scene. Directed by Park Chan-wook, the film symbolized artistic courage and emotional depth. What intensified public curiosity was the fact that Taehyung is known to have a friendship with Park Chan-wook. A seemingly small detail, yet enough to ignite uncontrollable speculation. Was this merely a natural overlap within Korea's close-knit entertainment industry? Or was there something far more calculated happening behind the scenes? A user on X posted a reply that quickly went viral, feeling like a missing puzzle piece suddenly snapped into place. They pointed out that Tae-ri is the same actress who starred in The Handmaiden, directed by Park Chan-wook, and that Taehyung knows Park Chan-wook, meaning they are friends and may soon appear together in a drama project. That single sentence, despite lacking official confirmation, was enough to send imagination spiraling. Rumors of a potential collaboration in an upcoming drama spread rapidly, amplifying both excitement and confusion. If a project truly was in the works, why did everything feel so sudden and pressured? This was where HYBE's name began to surface with a different tone. No longer just the agency behind BTS, but a massive entity suspected of having the power to decide what should and should not be visible to the public. Many fans began to question whether Taehyung and Tae-ri being captured together was truly organic. Or was it part of a deliberate strategy, perhaps to build a new narrative, divert attention, or prepare the ground for a major future project? When Jungkook finally spoke, some fans felt subtle hints pointing toward that very possibility, even though nothing was stated outright. Jungkook's tone, his choice of words, and even his facial expressions became endless subjects of analysis. He never mentioned any names directly, yet certain phrases sounded like veiled confessions about pressure, about situations where personal choices must often bow to greater interests. Was this a quiet critique of the system that has governed their lives since debut? Or was it simply an emotional interpretation from fans already on edge? One thing, however, was difficult to deny. That moment felt different, more honest, and deeply touching. Taehyung himself is known as an artistic soul who expresses himself in unconventional ways. His love for art, film, music, and cross-industry friendships has often sparked curiosity. His connection with Park Chan-wook was not exactly a secret, but it had rarely taken center stage until Tae-ri's name entered the narrative. Suddenly, every small detail, felt significant. Every glance, every gesture, even every timing coincidence became material for speculation. Were Taehyung and Tae-ri simply two artists who respected each other's work? Or was there something deeper that was then forced into public view? At this point, fans' emotions became deeply conflicted. Some felt happy seeing their idol interact with major figures in the art and film world. Others felt anxious, fearing that Taehyung and Jungkook's personal freedom was being further eroded by industry demands. When rumors suggested that their public appearance was forced due to HYBE, discomfort spread quickly. Could an agency as powerful as HYBE truly push a narrative purely for business interests? Or was this simply a professional agreement misinterpreted by an overly emotional public? What made the situation even more emotional was the way Jungkook expressed himself. He showed no open anger, nor did he blame anyone directly. Yet there was a quiet sadness, as if he were trying to come to terms with the reality that being a global idol means losing control over one's own story. His words felt like a message to fans not to judge too quickly, to try seeing things from a broader perspective. But this was precisely where the shock lay. Hadn't fans always been taught to trust official narratives? Why did Jungkook now seem to ask them to read between the lines? Tae-ri, meanwhile, remained silent. No statements, no clarifications. Her silence only deepened the mystery. Known as an actress who carefully selects her projects, she is rarely dragged into shallow rumors. That is precisely why her sudden association with Taehyung, on such a massive scale, left many wondering whether she too was caught in a situation beyond her control, swept into the powerful currents of an industry that does not always respect privacy. Was she also forced into this narrative, or did she see it purely as an artistic opportunity? Rumors about a drama collaboration grew wilder by the day. The idea of Taehyung, with his unique charisma, acting alongside Tae-ri, celebrated for her emotional depth under the shadow of Park Chan-wook's name, felt almost too perfect to be accidental. If true, was the current media frenzy merely a warm-up? Were the public appearances actually part of an unannounced promotional strategy? Or did the spotlight arrive too soon, forcing them to face public expectations before the right time? HYBE, as an agency, found itself in a complicated position. On one hand, it must protect its artists. On the other, it must consider business interests and global image. When its name began circulating as the party that forced the situation, that image came under scrutiny. Was this merely emotional speculation from fans, or was there a bitter truth behind it? Jungkook never mentioned HYBE directly, yet many felt its shadow lingering in every word he spoke. Perhaps the biggest surprise was Jungkook's reaction after the rumors peaked. Instead of retreating, he showed a more open side, as if wanting to reassure fans that whatever was happening, he did not want them to be hurt by uncontrolled speculation. This attitude deeply moved many people. Some cried, some became even more protective, and others began questioning their own role as spectators in an idol's private life. How far is curiosity acceptable? And when does it turn into pressure? Taehyung continued appearing in public as usual, but attentive fans sensed subtle changes that were hard to explain. His smile remained, his charisma intact, yet there seemed to be a greater distance between him and the outside world. Was this the result of excessive scrutiny? Or simply a natural phase of maturity, of someone becoming more conscious of personal boundaries? These questions lingered without clear answers. This story is not just about relationship rumors or potential collaborations. It reflects the complex dynamics of the Korean entertainment industry, where art, business, and personal lives constantly collide. Jungkook speaking out became a symbol of an unease many idols may feel, but rarely express. Taehyung and Tae-ri turned into focal points of a larger narrative about how stories are consumed by the public and framed by the media. Will there ever be an official clarification? Possibly. Will the rumored drama collaboration actually happen? Perhaps. But one thing is certain, this moment has left a deep emotional mark on many people. The biggest shock is not the rumor itself, but the realization that behind every sensational headline, there are real humans with real feelings, fears, and hopes. And perhaps the most important question is not whether Taehyung is truly with Kim Tae-ri, or whether HYBE is behind everything. The real question is whether we, as the public, are ready to accept that not every story belongs to us. Or will we continue chasing clue after clue, clickbait after clickbait, until we forget that behind those famous names are hearts that can be hurt? As the days passed, the conversation did not fade. Instead, it grew heavier, more layered, and increasingly emotional. What initially appeared as a fleeting rumor slowly transformed into a symbol of something much deeper, something that resonated far beyond Taehyung, Kim Tae-ri, or Jungkook alone. Fans began revisiting old interviews, past live streams, subtle comments, and even song lyrics, searching for hidden meanings they may have missed before. Every pause in Jungkook's speech, every ambiguous caption from Taehyung, and every public silence from Kim Tae-ri felt like another piece of an unfinished story that refused to settle. Some fans recalled moments when Jungkook spoke about feeling trapped between expectations and reality, about smiling even when his heart felt heavy. At the time, those words were brushed off as general reflections on fame. Now, in light of everything unfolding, those same words felt prophetic. Was Jungkook already hinting at the weight he carried long before this controversy exploded? Was his eventual decision to speak out less spontaneous than it seemed, and more the result of a breaking point that had been approaching quietly for years? Taehyung's role in this narrative felt equally complex. Known for his free-spirited personality and artistic sensitivity, he has often been perceived as someone who resists being boxed into conventional idol standards. His friendships outside the K-pop world, especially with figures in film and fine art, have always set him apart. Yet this uniqueness may also have made him more vulnerable to misunderstanding. When his connection to Kim Tae-ri entered the public eye, it was no longer viewed simply as an artistic overlap. It became a story framed by suspicion, forced narratives, and emotional projections from millions of observers. Kim Tae-ri, standing at the intersection of this storm, remained an enigma. Her silence was interpreted in countless ways. Some saw it as dignity, a refusal to feed speculation. Others viewed it as constraint, a quiet acceptance of industry realities where speaking out can sometimes cause more harm than good. As an actress known for portraying complex, emotionally rich characters, many wondered what she herself might be feeling behind closed doors. Did she anticipate this level of attention? Or was she, too, caught off guard by how quickly a professional association could spiral into a global spectacle? The mention of Park Chan-wook continued to hover like a shadow in the background. His reputation as a visionary director only intensified speculation about a possible collaboration. Fans imagined scripts, characters, and scenes long before any official announcement existed. Yet beneath the excitement was an uncomfortable question. If such a project were real, should it really begin with rumors, pressure, and emotional strain rather than creative celebration? And if it were not real, then why did it feel as though the narrative was being allowed, or even encouraged, to grow unchecked? HYBE's silence added another layer of tension. In an industry where statements are often swift and carefully crafted, the absence of a clear response felt loud. Some interpreted this silence as strategy, others as avoidance. Was the company waiting for the storm to pass on its own? Or was it calculating the potential benefits and risks of intervention? For fans who had long trusted the agency to protect its artists, doubt began to creep in. Trust, once shaken, is difficult to fully restore. Jungkook's emotional openness continued to ripple outward. His words became a mirror reflecting fans' own feelings of confusion, protectiveness, and helplessness. Many began questioning their own behavior. Had they unknowingly contributed to the pressure idols face by consuming every rumor, sharing every speculative post, and demanding constant access to private lives? This self-reflection marked a rare moment in fandom culture, where admiration collided with accountability late at night. As discussions unfolded across forums and social media, one sentiment kept resurfacing. No matter what the truth was, something about this situation felt unfair. It felt unfair that Taehyung's friendships could be reduced to scandal. It felt unfair that Tae-ri's professional reputation could be overshadowed by speculation. And it felt unfair that Jungkook, after years of giving so much of himself to the public, still had to choose his words so carefully, as if honesty itself were a risk. What made the story linger was not just curiosity, but empathy. People were no longer only asking what happened. They were asking how it must have felt, how it must feel to live under constant surveillance, where every interaction can be misinterpreted, magnified, and monetized. How it must feel to want to create art freely, yet be bound by contracts, expectations, and public narratives that rarely allow room for nuance. As time went on, the initial shock transformed into a quiet ache. There were no dramatic revelations, no explosive confirmations. Just a lingering sense that something important had been exposed, even if unintentionally. A crack in the polished surface of the entertainment world, revealing the emotional cost beneath it. And perhaps that is the true impact of this moment. Not the rumor itself, not the names involved, but the realization that behind fame lies a fragile balance between self and spectacle. Jungkook's voice, Taehyung's silence, and Tae-ri's restraint together formed a powerful, unspoken message that sometimes the loudest truths are not shouted, but felt. The story remains unfinished. It may one day conclude with official statements, confirmed projects, or quiet resolutions away from the spotlight. Or it may simply fade, replaced by the next headline, the next rumor, the next distraction. But for those who truly listened, something has already changed. A deeper awareness, a lingering question, and a hope that one day, the industry will learn to value humanity as much as headlines. Yet even as the noise slowly softened, the emotional aftershocks continued to echo. This was no longer just a story circulating among fans. It had become a quiet case study in how modern celebrity culture consumes intimacy. Observers began to notice how quickly the narrative shifted from curiosity to entitlement, from admiration to intrusion. The realization was unsettling. Somewhere along the way, the line between public figure and public property had blurred beyond recognition. Jungkook's presence in the aftermath felt restrained, but intentional. He did not retract his words, nor did he elaborate further. That restraint itself spoke volumes. It suggested a boundary, carefully drawn, perhaps after years of watching how easily honesty could be twisted. To many, his silence afterward felt heavier than any statement. It was as if he had said just enough to be understood by those willing to listen, and nothing more for those chasing sensation.